Okay, well, okay, we could start then. Okay, I have two interpreters. I have Maya, she will be interpreting for you. And
Okay,
I have Peggy, who will be interpreting for me. So that way I have a two-way of accessibility for any that's been holding period band, subscribers, viewers, all of that.
very cool. Very, very cool. I have a hearing impaired actor that works with us sometimes, and so when I talk to him, we got an interpreter live. It's great.
That's awesome. Well, I like to see more of that. I'm hoping Hallmark will be more diverse between now and the future about maybe having a hearing impaired or deaf or holding hearing main lead. And I try to put my name in the hat of the ring sometimes.
That would be fun. I mean, listen, I did blind, I did colorblind, I've done other things, and so I'm sure Hallmark must have done a hearing impaired lead at some point or a story. No,
Different name.
yeah.
Okay, Matt, well, thank you for coming on to the Cast Share podcast. We will be talking about two of the recent movies that happened in 2024, which was Unwrapping Christmas, Tina Miracle with Natalie Hall, and the fourth movie, which is Olivia Reunion with Sidney Busby, and with the writer, Carly Smiley. So before we dive in and talk about the movie, I would like to know what made you become a director? Was a director something you've always wanted to do?
Wow. We're going back to 1999. When I was 18 years old, my father and my uncle wanted to be in the film industry, but their dad didn't support them. He made them go become professionals. So they were dentists, but every Monday for 20 years, they wrote screenplays that were never produced. And so I grew up around my dad and my uncle writing every Monday. Instead of going to the office, they would sit around the house and write scripts. And so I grew up around scripts. I grew up around books about screenwriting. And then eventually in the 90s, there was the 90s independent revolution with Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. And everybody said, you got to make a movie. And they said, we should make a movie. But they said they're too busy working. And so they said, do you want to learn how to make a movie? And I said, yeah. And so I made a movie with them when I was 18 in 1999. And then I realized what I don't know, which was everything. And I had to learn it all from the beginning. And then I made a couple short films, and then I made my own feature film when I was 24. And that I showed around the world, not around the world, I showed around Canada. And then I wrote Foreverland, which was about cystic fibrosis from experience. And then that was my first professional gig at 25. It finally got made at 30. And then now, 35 movies later, I'm a professional director. So I guess I just never had another path. I was always going to make feature films, so which is pretty lucky.
That's awesome. I always find it fascinating for every podcast that I've had, whether it's an actor or a writer or a director, because I like to know where they're starting their career or their job, whether it's completely different or it's something they always wanted to do.
So, and it's so rare to talk to when I don't talk to a lot of directors, right? So I don't always know what their path was. I only know about the ones that are celebrities that write a book. And I have a couple of peers in Ottawa, and some came at it from acting, some came at it from writing. And so it's a within the industry, it's not the first one you go to, right? I mean, you want to be an actor usually. And so I thought I wanted to be an actor when I was 16, but my eyebrows are too expressive. When I act, it's like,
You guys would get some eyebrow work or something if you wanted to become a really good actor.
I'm going to look like Groucho Marx. And so, yeah, I got to get some Botox.
Uh, okay. What was like we talked before you came into the house? What were some of the challenges, positive challenges or negative challenges at being a director of a movie?
Um, when I was young, my illness was not quite as in control. And so I would get very sick after every movie. I would lose 10, 20% lung function, 10 pounds. It took me weeks and months to get healthy again in order to work on another movie. So that was a direct challenge with my illness. I have cystic fibrosis. I don't know if I talked to you about that. Um, That was one. The other one was money. It's an expensive hobby. I was in debt from 18 until 29, making movies, spending money on movies, spending money on networking in LA. And so that's the second biggest challenge. The third is convincing people when you're starting out that what you're doing is worth investing their time in. And so I got really lucky to meet some key people early on. My cinematographer, who was the best man at my wedding, was on my first movie in 99, and we still work together 25 years later. And so convincing people in investing in you, actually having the money to invest in yourself, having the time, it's a real privilege, even though I had an illness, to be able to have that support. And so I was lucky to have family support that I could stay in their basement even when I went broke in my 20s. Or so that's a major piece that I'm lucky I had that other people don't always have. And then the ego to believe that you have something to say and that it's worth saying. So that was my recipe.
Um, do you have a director growing up, like when you become a director or completely that's after director for your main career, did you have another director that you really look up to besides your father and grandfather, and how much you admire their work or their directing of a movie?
So I never had one. I just like sometimes now that I make movies, I can see it as a bird's eye. It's the right movie with the right director with the right people at the right time. I don't know that anybody hits a home run every time, but growing up, my dad loved Martin Scorsese, so I love Martin Scorsese. Um, in the 90s, I really liked Steven Soderbergh's work. And obviously, we're talking about people that are masters nowadays, Christopher Nolan, and then obviously the Canadian Denis Villeneuve. He does Dune, he did Prisoners, he did like just amazing work, and he cut his teeth in Quebec, Canada. So I just appreciate everybody that does something that matters to them and is meaningful and still entertaining.
Okay, let's dive into Unwrapping Christmas. I know you directing too, and Amy Blunt directing too, and I was talking to Cindy about it because I told her I like how for a movie flown.
Yeah,
And I have a rank for the movie that who number one, two, three, four. I have a rank, and I like how it flowed, and I like how it kind of all happened at the same time. But each girl had their own story, finding themselves and maybe
yeah,
meeting somebody, but they did it back then. So how
yeah.
were you able to work with Amy in some way to like make a collaboration with between the four movies?
And so, yeah, the way it was set up is actually less fun than it could have been if it was set up a different way because I was already working when she came to town. But I knew she was from out of town. So I tried to help her with explaining the culture of our city because we're a non major market in Ottawa, where she comes from Toronto, our team, our workflow, our city. And then she was responsible for the scenes that were at the store. I only did a few of my scenes at the store. And so I helped with location scouting, with scheduling, and then intimately worked with her on, okay, we can do this scene here, but not this one. And so I helped with logistics, and then she shot some of my footage. And so we were definitely intertwined. But sadly, when you're directing a movie while somebody else is prepping, you have very little crossover. I only saw her on set once or twice. Um, but I understand she may be coming to Ottawa for another movie. So obviously she impressed the bosses.
Nice. Without of all of these movies, how do you expect to work with the cast? What was your motivation? Like, what made the movie successful from your philosophy as the director with the camera angles or the lighting, or it should all depend on the script, the story, and then you develop a movie from that?
Exactly that. The script absolutely dictated the differences in the movies. Like Tina's movie was a bit more classic and came from the elegance of the old property was the root of that movie, and so that dictated how she wanted to have her character dress and be a little bit more old school versus say Mia, who was whimsical, versus Olivia, who was quirky, and then that was also different than Lily's movie. And so the locations, the script, and the tone dictated how we handled them all. And then also the actresses, they bring their own personality. And I think they were all perfectly cast to be themselves. And so, not themselves, but I mean like the best version of themselves. And so, I think that's what the script drove the creative drove who we picked for the roles, and then that coming together dictated what I would do with them.
Yeah, I really like I said, I told Danielle that those movies were really good. And I like each of the character and their
Yeah.
personality. I was like they need to really brought it out for Olivia.
Mhm.
And she shared with me that what and the movie poster yellow that she got I'm gonna tell you something. It was really red. But they changed it, but the poster I was like you look like bad from Beauty and the Beast. I mean that
I
poster was
totally
like
agree, right?
amazing.
Oh my God, I thought they did beautiful artwork. I wish the dress was that yellow because it would have matched all their character colorings, right? And so we also did unique home decoration for each of them. We weren't even supposed to be in Olivia's house ever. So we had to shoot some stuff for the phone calls for the other movies because you only ever saw her leaving the house and that was it. Whereas the other people had more, their character stories had more in their environment. So it was really, we tried to find what we would do in her house. And so we decorated the outside a little bit different. They popped in some pink and some more whimsy. And yeah, it was a unique story within the four, and that you really didn't go into her world. She went into somebody else's world.
Um what okay. What do you like most about directing and what do you just kind of like don't really like about directing?
Um, I maybe think I could run the whole world. So it's pleasant to run a set. I like being involved in every decision from casting to location to schedule to wardrobe to lighting. I really like every aspect of the job. And so that's what I love about directing. And then the downside, it's one of those questions you ask somebody at a job interview. What aren't you good at? The downside is I care about too much. And it's so cliched, but it's like I can get caught trying to be hands and everything, and then maybe shift the focus from something else that matters more. So the beauty is in being involved with everything. The downside is being involved with everything because sometimes there's not enough time or money to do what you really want to do, and you have to compromise. And so I'd say compromising is the hardest part of the job that I don't always love because I know what's possible. Maybe I should tell your viewers as well. I'm eating because I was caught on meetings all day and I just haven't eaten in hours. And so thank you for bearing with me. I'm trying, I don't want to be rude, but I appreciate Kat because I got to go right back into preparation after dinner for the shoot we're doing tomorrow.
No problem. Maybe after the interview, Maxwell with the recipe how he made his dinner, and I will share it on with the viewers.
You do have some behind the scenes footage of me cooking and then my dog's playing in the snow.
Definitely. Do you have a favorite project or a project that had a really good core memory out of based on maybe the location or how do direction or how it came all together or the dream cast?
All those things. So far, I have to say my favorite movie I made was Foreverland. That was a movie that was personal to me. It was about my illness. It was about a journey. It's about realizing life is about the journey, not the destination. I got to work with Oscar nominees. I got to work with up and coming actors, and they're all on series and famous now. So we had good taste. So that's my, and I got to raise money. I raised $250,000 for cystic fibrosis research around the world in Italy, Ireland, Australia, and Canada. So that's my like my the mountain I climbed early on. And then since then, when I've been doing commercial work, I've had a few that I really enjoyed the process and the result. Midnight at the Magnolia was the Netflix top 10 movie. And that was with Natalie Hall, who was Tina. And then actor Evan Williams, who's on one of the stars of the Hallmark series, The Way Home Now. And that was well executed. They made the movie sing. It was shot in the winter, no fake snow. And that's always really fun. And I just shot a movie right now with Natalie again. and it's very, very fulfilling so far. Horses, racing, ranches, and cowboys. And so I think that's going to be one of my favorites as well. And so,
Most of the movies you have directed, I'm trying to recall. I know the Unwrapping Christmas and Falling Like Snowflake with Rebecca Dalton and Margaret Wagner. I know some movies were like filmed in the summer, and some were like very lucky enough to be filmed in the winter. So what
yeah.
about your experiences with directing and filming movies summer-wise or winterish-wise?
So my favorite time to film a Christmas movie is like March, April, where it's not minus 20. The leaves still aren't on the trees. Our fake snow can freeze and stay and still look more real, but it's comfortable and you have longer daylight hours. When you film in the winter, the sun goes down at 4 o'clock and on my time, and you have to rewrite scenes for night. Um, I think winter movies shot in the winter look better no matter what. Like right now, when I filmed in these fields, I couldn't have done that in the summer. I have 360s of the mountains, snow piling down on all the pine trees. You know, you see the air, the breath coming out of their mouths. You can't fake that. You know what I mean? Or you can, but it costs too much money. And so I think the effect of shooting Christmas in the winter is the best, but shooting Christmas in the spring is a little bit easier on the system. It's easier on your team. Like I got frostbite on my finger. I still can't feel a piece of my finger right now. And so, it gets really uncomfortable when it's minus 30 for 5 days straight outside.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to some of the captains or the writers or the actors. They were like, some of the movies, because I could tell I was like, this was filmed in the summer. But like some of the movies out of the blue will be like filmed to Christmas. I was like, okay, I gotta know about that. I wonder about that because you never know the weather is too cold or it wasn't that bad, compared to summer movies where they had to like put a pack
Yes.
anything in between that you can't imagine.
In the summer, it's so hot, they sweat, they take their jackets off every time.
For sure, yeah. Um, what, anything through the movies or anything, how to do a draft or how to do approach to something very unexpected that happens, like you said, weather-wise, or maybe someone got sick for maybe 12 to 24 hours. So how to handle unexpected situation when filming or directing a movie.
Um, Hopefully you're able to pivot. Sometimes you can't pivot. So in COVID, we had an actress test positive and then test negative, and we had to ask the COVID officers, "What is it? Is it positive or negative?" And they asked her about her symptoms, everything else, and luckily it wasn't. But we would have had to just shut down at the cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another time, Natalie, when we did Midnight the Magnolia, it was a movie about a radio host. She's a radio host, and she lost her voice completely. We had to reorganize scenes, shoot pieces of it, do the best we could with her voice, and then add dialogue afterwards, re-record it. In fact, she was just in town shooting this movie, and she caught a flu and lost her voice in this movie. Luckily, a doctor was able to give her cortisol, and it gave her enough of a voice that she could act. And then if we have to clean it up in post production, we will.
And I know I just recently learned, well, not recently, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube interviews or articles or other podcasts, and I think I talked with, who was that? No, Matthew Hamilton. Yes, I talked with him, and we happened to touch the topic of ADR. So, like,
Yeah,
over talking with the team.
yeah.
So, how did that work? I mean, I know it's a bit of a challenge to try to make it along with, with the lip and try not to be ahead or,
Oh
like,
yeah. No, actors don't love ADR. They really like it frustrates them because they've lost the feeling of the interplay. Um, but as long as we fool the viewer and they don't know, because we don't want to interrupt the viewing experience. When you see the lips moving now with technology, they're pretty good. Like we can digitally stretch a word, shrink it. Um, it's pretty good now. It's not perfect, but I've seen movies where I see somebody's lips stop moving and they just keep talking. I've seen big movies like that. I've also seen movies with continuity errors where the hand was in the air and then the hand's down. My wife is actually my editor refers to her as Hawkeye because she's the queen of continuity. And so she'll say, no, her scarf was up or her scarf was down. And I say, well, it's all I got. So what are you going to do? Kill me? Yeah. Anyhow, so ADR is hard. It's not fun, but it's a necessary piece of the puzzle. Oh, my dog wants to come say hi. This is
Thank you. Happy birthday.
yes, it's Lenny's birthday. Hi, everybody.
I hope you got him a cappuccino from Starbucks today.
That's what my wife asked me about a puppuccino. We're gonna take him to the pet store after, before I get back into work. So
Um, okay. If anybody want to have a career in film industry, such as a screenwriter or director or an actor or costume designer, anything regarding the movie, what kind of advice would you give?
my advice would be, so if you want a career in directing, you got to make movies. No matter what, you have to make them. Nobody's going to hire anybody just because they want to do it. It's a show business, and that means show me what you can do. And so that's the same with acting, writing, directing, and producing. The other ones, you can go to school and you can learn a trade, and then you can join a team and get experience along the way. But with the four big jobs, you just got to start doing them. If you want to be a producer, you got to start producing independent guerrilla films with your friends. I suggest people find people who want to do the other jobs that they want to do, and then with their passion, create work from scratch. And then, based on your experience, you will gain knowledge, and then your projects will get better, and then there's a possibility for turning professional. But it's one of those jobs where I could have made independent films for my whole 20s and maybe never gotten hired. Like it really takes having the skill, b the experience, but then a little bit of luck. I happen to be the only other professional director in Ottawa when this company came to town to make TV movies, and so they said, hey, we can't afford to bring somebody in from Toronto, do you want to work? I said, sure. Pardon me while I take some pills here, but that's my advice: is you got to do it. uh, you gotta research, you gotta pair up with people who want to do it too, and then you got to do it. And it's the best to just learn. And it's not the same as it used to be. You used to have to make films to stand out. Now we can shoot on our iPhones, and it's better footage than I had when I was 25 and working professionally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Technology these days, you never know what you could do with them.
Yeah. So the tool's there, exactly what you said. And now the downside of having the tool is what's worth pointing a camera at. You know, that's the hard part. A real filmmaker, that's what you learn, is what's worth the effort and what's worth the time. And so, and then when you can crack that, I haven't cracked that yet. You can go to the top. I'm still trying to figure out that path.
Yeah, same like with me. Like if I'm doing some weird or I'm doing a reenactment of a movie scene that I was kind of my thing for the whole winter break. I need to do something. I'm gonna take that scene from the movie. I'm gonna redo it, and I just
Fun.
become a director. Okay, I can't edit that, so I sent to my friend. I'm like, can you take this part out and then clip it together? I said, I don't know how to do that. I was like, no. I can't do iMovie or anything. I could just kind of
So
edit
now,
beginning
why
and the
can't
end.
you? Why can't you? You don't want to read the
I
manual?
have to learn how. I mean, I can't like if I click on trim, it will take me here, and I want to trim it to here, but I can't
Yeah.
move the arrows out of again. I
Oh,
can't do it from
I think
eventually.
you
I
can
will
fit.
learn how to do that.
I think you can figure it out.
So I did for my last podcast. I had to edit 1 minute in the middle because one of your companies interrupted with a phone call. So I need to
Yeah.
take that minute. So I figured it out. Okay. That's my first and last time for a while before I could do that kind of editing.
Very cool. Well, listen, it's a process, right? I didn't know how to do it before, and then I edited one of my whole feature films when I was 24, and it helped. about my directing. Oh, I need this shot. Why didn't I get this? Or I didn't need that one. Sometimes it's as much about learning what you don't need as it is about what you do need.
Um, but tell me a little bit more about Falling Snowflakes. I really enjoyed that movie. I know it's not really realistic or anything, but I really enjoyed the pictures of the snowflake and the different kind. It was just a beautiful movie. But I felt like the lady, the billion out there, she was not really out there, don't do anything. Let her have that snowflake. But I really enjoyed that movie.
Listen up. So Becky, the star, is like a friend of ours. Now, actually, when we wrapped that movie, I got home and she was already in my basement having a glass of wine with my wife. I was like, "How'd you get here so fast?" She goes, "Well, I didn't even go home. I just told them to drop me off here." It was very fun to make with her and Marcus. That giant truck was like such a pain in my ass because the executives wanted it no matter what. Whereas historically in a Hallmark movie, they'll put you in a pickup truck with a blade and it's easier to get around. He goes, "No, I want the big truck." He's an industrial snowplow operator. So it's a bit of a logic question because we're like, he's in the safest vehicle. How are they ever going to get stuck on the side of the road? But movie magic, we wrote it, we did it. But here's the thing, that movie was shot in January and 90% of that was fake snow. We had no snow in Ottawa last year, like in the winter. And so I had to create a snowstorm even though it was in the
Oh
middle
my
of winter.
goodness.
Yeah, most of that's fake snow. And if I there's a picture of the truck coming around the bend on the highway when she stops him, that was all fake bubbles frozen to the ground. Right behind us was like all just grass. Yeah, no, I was absolutely panicked when I was like, we have no snow. What are we doing?
Man, yeah. Another unexpected, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was really good. And I like the story. I just like hearing the behind the scenes with everybody, regardless part of the movie. Like, we have snow, so we had to get them out of the way. Or there was
Yeah,
no snow, so the entire movie you see, you take a snow with fake. No, what?
yeah.
Really? Okay,
Oh,
I have make me go back and watch
oh
it.
yeah.
So I could just like see or pinpoint things.
100%. It's like the 1990s with pop-up videos. Whenever I watch these movies with my wife or her parents, I like, oh, that was fake, or oh, this happened here, or oh, that happened there. It's like a director commentary. Uh, it's fun to see it through other people's eyes, though, because if we fool them, then we did our job.
Well, thank you for all of that insight, Matt. It was really nice talking to you and
Yeah.
getting to know to do as the director and how behind the scenes the movies and matches. That's all of the questions I have for you tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your patience and thank you for letting me cook and eat while we did this. And I'm going to go back to preparing the stunts for tomorrow and Friday's shoot. So thank you for having me. And it's really cool to talk to you too.
No problem. That one you have it. I know you have a couple of projects working. I'm curious. I ask everybody: do you have a director or a writer or some kind of cast that you have not really worked with that, and you would really like to have a chance to be on a project with?
Hello, can you still hear me? Yes, I sorry, I had a call come in that
Yeah.
interrupted. Do I have some? I have many casts, but I won't say the names. I want to work. Oh, sorry, my phone. That's embarrassing. Um, Lots of people who I want to work with still, but I've also been very lucky to work with some great people so far that I want to keep working with. So Natalie is one of my favorites, Becky and Cindy, all of them. But I mean, those three stand out as people I could make movies with forever. Um, Evan and Jake and all these guys, Olivier and Marcus, they've all just become, once you do that many hours together, you become friends when you're on the same page. And Corey Savier too. And geez, I can't even remember all the names, but you make movies with people and it's just special to build on it as you go. And so they're the relationships I hope I can carry for the rest of my life. But I know we all get busy and make movies and they're having families and traveling the world. But it's really intense when you work with somebody, 13 hours a day for 15 days straight. And it's the best part of the job is the people.
Yeah,
And so
thank you.
I didn't quite answer your
But
question,
some
but I mean,
people may have done something they want to work with, or who they
yeah,
want to do it, or they call it the dream team. Just wanted to get
yeah,
your
yeah,
options and opinions.
yeah. I mean, people to work with. I mean, I think Natalie Portman does beautiful work. I think Tom Hanks would be like just unreal to even listen to him talk. Um, I mean, there's who are the greats out there right now? There's so many. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, people at the top of their game, they don't get there for no reason. I would work with anybody right now making some of the best movies and just be thrilled to learn from them while we make a movie together.
Hopefully, one day in the future, you will have the chance with one of the dream people or directors, anything to work with. I mean, anything possible.
That's the hope, right? And then my job is to keep doing my work so I can raise my level to meet them when I get that opportunity.
Yeah, have you thought it? I know you direct mostly Hallmark, but you also direct outside of Hallmark, or they
I do
like,
thrillers. Yeah, I do thrillers for Lifetime as well. That's how I started my career. I did drama with the
okay,
Foreverland, and so no, I mean the reason there's more hallmarks on my resume the past couple of years is that's just the kind of work that's been flooding in Ottawa, and so we're a sucker to what comes, and it's a privilege to do them. But there's been more of those than the thrillers lately, and so hopefully some more thrillers this year because they're really fun to make.
all right. Well, thank you again, Matt, and really appreciate your time tonight and joining the dinner and your public birthday. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for rescheduling a couple times and being so understanding. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Not a problem. Family comes first always.
Yeah.
So I hope you have a great night.